4 men shot and 2 dead after a bloody 24 hours here in the capital. Plus, just yesterday evening, a plane crashed in waters off a Luther. The Accident Investigation Authority has declared all passengers safe. And the word is Barbenheimer this weekend. Find out what it means in our arts and entertainment segment, which is straight ahead as Our News Weekend starts now. This is Our News Weekend. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Megan Shepard. Another double shooting in the capital this afternoon, leaving 2 men, ages 33, in stable condition in hospital. The incident occurring sometime around 1:40 p.m. on Saturday in the area of Calvin Street off Soldier Road. Police were en route to the Woodland Gardens area in response to reports of the shooting. When they intercepted a private vehicle, they observed a male in distress, suffering from multiple gunshot injuries about the body, and escorted the victim to the Princess Margaret Hospital. The second victim was also transported to the hospital via private vehicle with a gunshot injury to the upper torso. And 2 men, ages 29 and 33, are dead tonight following a shooting incident that occurred in the wee hours of the morning in the Masons Addition community. Initial police reports say both men were standing in a yard on Spence Street when 2 men armed with high-powered weapons emerged from a nearby track road and began firing shots at them. When he spotted the armed men, the first victim, who was being electronically monitored, tried to run away, but was chased, shot multiple times, and collapsed in a nearby yard. Luckier than the first man, the second victim suffered gunshot injuries to both legs. Both men were transported to the Princess Margaret Hospital via emergency medical services. However, the first victim succumbed to his injuries a short time later. The second man remains there in critical condition. Now, police are actively investigating this incident and are appealing to members of the public who may have any information that can assist with this investigation to contact them at 911-919, the Criminal Investigation Department at 502-9991, 2 or 3, or Crime Stoppers at 328-TIPS. And sometime yesterday in the evening hours, the Aircraft Accident Investigation Authority reported that shortly after takeoff from the Governor's Harbor Airport, a Piper PA-23 with Bahamas registration C6PAA lost power to the left engine. Upon attempting to return to the field, the aircraft crashed into waters with 4 persons on board. Thankfully, all 4 passengers were rescued and no injuries were reported. The Aircraft Accident Investigation Authority is currently looking into the incident. And the Department of Corrections is introducing a new rehabilitative program called Grow Your Child. Acting Commissioner for Corrections, Dawn Clare, says the program will allow inmates to spend the day with their children while in prison.
During that day, they attend classes with their loved ones, and this program lasts for about 6 months. So this is a program that we tried to start here many years ago. From 2015, but it never materialized.
The program is aimed at showing children of the ins and outs of prison in hopes of deterring them from one day ending up there themselves. Claire says the plan is to introduce the program in a phased approach. He says there are too many fathers and sons incarcerated at BDOCs.
We're gonna have a phased approach. We're gonna start with female prison, then we're gonna move to medium, then the remand center, and then maximum security prison. All incarcerated men, especially, and females who are here, once they give us the name of their kids will come here and spend the day with them. And the primary purpose of this is to break that cycle.
Meantime, it was a fun-filled Friday at Margaritaville as Cable Bahamas employees were celebrated for their hard work. The company held its second ever Epic Awards on Friday to recognize employees who go above and beyond their call of duty. Out of the 17 nominees, there were 3 winners. We got to speak to 2 of them, Deval Humes and Yvette Williams.
I'm truly humbled. It is an honor to be recognized by your peers, your colleagues, your mentors, who make it possible for you to stand up, or any of us to stand up, to accomplish the and overcome obstacles to accomplish tasks that we have.
I feel fabulous. It's an honor to be a recipient and recognized today. But this is all teamwork. This is all an effort of the HR team and all of the team members at Cable Bahamas Limited.
Speaking to the importance of the event are Human Resources Head Edward Duncombe and Cable Bahamas Group of Companies CEO Franklin Butler.
So today was a very small opportunity for us to go ahead and say thank you for everything that's been done. And at Cable Bahamas Limited Group of Companies, one thing that we do is we ensure that within all of the divisions that they have an internal department recognition program. And then they are going ahead and recommending those individuals, those nominations to the executive team. And then we vote. We decide exactly whether or not those behaviors are aligned with our values. And then we go ahead and then we recognize them.
It's something that just brings me great pride and joy. I mean, to see great Bahamian talent step up to continue to deliver service. We obviously have challenges from time to time, but when people continue to step up to help make sure we serve our customers, I mean, it's an opportunity to really celebrate.
And coming up after the break, the Grand Bahama Resilience Center is still looking out for the mental health of Grand Bahamians, but it needs your help. Find out why. And those excelling in arts, politics, and medicine were awarded last night at the Edmund Moxie Cultural Show, put on by Bahamas Harvest Church. Stay tuned. That's coming up when Our News Weekend returns. Welcome back. The Grand Bahama Resilience Center was established as a place where residents could come together to collectively heal following the devastation left behind after Hurricane Dorian. Executive Director Felicia McBride says since then, they have grown to help residents flourish holistically, whether mentally, physically, educationally, and even occupationally.
One of the key areas of wellness that we kind of hone in on is that mental wellness that we feel is an area that's very much overlooked. And that's because a lot of persons acknowledge the fact that they have physical health, they have occupational health, they have social health, but when it comes to mental health, we're not as proactive as we would like everybody to be. And so we offer individual and group counseling services as well, in reference to helping people to hone in on their mental wellness.
And as the conversation of mental health becomes more commonplace in our communities, McBride says they are seeing more people come forward to seek assistance and counseling.
So we currently have a wait list of 40. We receive referrals from government agencies, including social services, as well as the schools. We receive referrals from the Attorney General office, the police, and we receive walk-ins. And we've been having an uptick in men actually coming in for services, which was the targeted population that we took the longest to reach.
She believes word of mouth is playing a major role in more Bahamians feeling comfortable.
I guess persons having the counseling services and feeling more confident in the Resilience Center, I feel like we've made that mark where we're now getting persons to come in and feel comfortable. Before a time, it would be where they would walk to the door and ask, what are your services? And it was almost the code talk to segue into, can I have an intake? But now we have people walking through the door and asking, without all of the fluff, can I have an intake form? I really need to secure some counseling services.
Now, while it is a bit easier to identify when you need physical assistance from a doctor, it may not be as simple to identify when mental assistance is necessary. Here's what you should be on the lookout for.
So mental health has to do with our thoughts and our behaviors. And so some of those behavioral change that you will see is that persons eat more, eat less, sleep more, sleep less. They don't want to be around friends and family anymore. They're starting to isolate themselves. And so those are some of the key ones that you want to look out for. A loss of interest in activities that once you enjoyed. And so that's definitely a sign of a decline in mental health. And the more common ones that person notices is that they're feeling a bit anxious, they're having intrusive thoughts, and that they unable to control their anger. And so those are some signs that you want to look for in yourself and in others.
McBride says services are free to the public, but it is not free to operate the center. She is appealing to corporate Bahamas to assist where they can.
We do accept donations from local donors, and we've had an uptick in the buy-in from local donors, which we really appreciate. So we encourage the Grand Bahama community to keep pouring into us so that we can continue pouring into the community. And yeah, so we're just looking for support from Grand Bahamians, local businesses, anybody who wants to support with the work that we're doing. So the services, all of our services are free to the public.
Bahamas Harvest Church taking time to recognize Bahamians for their significant contribution in areas like the arts, politics, and medicine at the Edmund Moxie Cultural Show Friday. The show saw many performances and a Junkanoo rush out. Our Berthany McDermott caught up with a few honorees and filed this report.
There are many greats that have gone before us who paved the way for many Bahamians today. Friday night, a few of those greats were honored and celebrated at the Edmund Moxie Cultural Show by Bahamas Harvest Church. The awards honored trendsetters from many different arenas like medicine. Barry Rassin took that award and tells our news the key is sticking to your dreams.
You can't give up. You got to keep doing it. I went 10 years before I actually ended up with a hospital. And I was frustrated the whole way. I had to borrow money every 2 weeks for 2 years to make payroll. But I stuck with it, and today everything is working well. But you got to have that desire, that passion, that enthusiasm to take your dreams where they need to go. I always say that the impossible is always possible.
Rassin also acknowledges, though, that it took a team to get to where he is today. He wasn't the only one highlighted. For Arts and Entertainment, National Dance Company Director Robert Bain says the award means a lot, not just for him, but for the artistic community.
They forget us. We're normally forgotten. And the only time that we remember it is when there's an event like the Independence Celebration and all the other things. And then afterwards, they forget us. So I'm happy to be representing them. And when I speak this evening, it will be on their behalf.
But the highest award of the evening, the Edmund Moxie Cultural Award, went to Junkanoo legend Percy Vola Francis and the Saxon Superstars. And what would the night be without the feel of the goatskin drums? Francis telling our news the award is a step towards Junkanoo is being recognized.
I do believe that the Bahamian populace needs to be aware, particularly the hierarchy needs to be aware of the importance of Junkanoo in this country and what it means. It's coming straight from the heart, the soul, and of course, the drum actually gives you that heartbeat. And this occasion for us is that now we are beginning to be recognized for all the hard work and all the dedication that we do constantly, consistently, every Boxing Day and New Year's.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Berthany McDermott.
Thanks so much, Berthany, and congratulations to all of the honorees. Right after the break, it's summertime, which means it's time to hit the beaches. Stay tuned for water safety tips for parents. And one detective turned author tells us about his new book. Stay close as Our News Weekend returns. Welcome back. As residents try to keep cool this summer, visiting beaches and pools will be the activities of choice for many. But how can you stay safe when spending time around open water? Our Jamila Mizik explains.
Pool parties and beach days will see hundreds of Bahamian families this summer, which means the possibilities of water accidents and even drowning may be higher than usual. But you can enjoy your summer while staying safe by practicing some simple steps and staying vigilant. For starters, knowing how to swim is important when participating in any water activity. Experts suggest that parents can introduce children to swimming lessons from as early as age 1. But if you don't know how to swim, wearing a life vest or some type of flotation device is recommended. Head Learn to Swim coach at Mako Aquatics Club, Amanda McPhee, is sharing these water safety tips for parents.
The first safety tip I would give to parents, particularly, would be to have their children exposed to any kind of swim lessons that they can. It's always best to catch them at their earliest, just so that even if they don't want them to be an active participant in competitive swimming, it's always a good life skill to have, and you don't want to wait until something happens to identify this, right?
She's also encouraging parents to introduce their children to the do's and don'ts around water.
Whether it's at the beach, whether it's at a pool, whether it's at a party, you just want them to have a good understanding of simple things. Whether it's not to run into water, you never know the depth, you have to pay attention to see whether you can stand before you enter, and so on.
But kids aren't the only ones who should be practicing water safety this summer. She says even if you're an adult, you should never visit the beach alone, especially if you do not know how to swim.
So I would say to have someone accompany you at all times. And simple things, even with pool parties, I would say you have to identify a person who is going to be responsible for watching whoever is in the pool. Even if you take shifts, one person can do it for 15 minutes, another person, they switch out throughout the entire party, but to never leave anyone unattended in water.
Reporting for Our News Weekend, I'm Jamila Missick.
Great advice. Thanks, Jamila. For 39-year-old Akari Murray, writing has been a long-time passion. By profession, he is a sergeant in rank and a detective, whereas his duties are concerned. He has used this as inspiration for his latest book. Murray recently published a novel titled The Breakers, Xavier Michael's Detective Chronicles.
It's based on a young detective who struggles to solve a burglary mystery. And, he has to use his wit and experience to overcome the obstacles.
Murray says he actually began writing the book 4 years ago, but took some time away from it. Since picking the project back up, he says he committed to writing 1 chapter per day until the book was completed 6 months later. And as the name suggests, it is a series in the making.
I've already started the follow-up series. I'm about a quarter of the way through, and I should be releasing it by December, by the end of the year.
As a detective on the police force, he shares how his profession helps him create the fictional series.
I read a lot of James Patterson books. Alex Cross, he created the character Alex Cross. And, as police officers, we have our own experience, so I'm able to create the imagery. A lot of the book is fiction, it's totally fictional. So because I know a lot of crime and mystery novels, authors are actually former law enforcement or some experience in law enforcement or even former journalists. And so because of my experience, I'm able to articulate the journey of an investigation or what an officer or detective would go through.
The book is currently available on several online platforms, but Murray says he hopes to have it available in local stores in the near future.
So in about 2 weeks, I plan to do a release, a book signing at Logos Bookstore. I intend to get some copies, a large number of copies, so it'll be in stores in about 2 weeks. I went the self-publishing route. Anybody can publish a book on Amazon today, and so I got it on Amazon. I got it on Apple Books, and I got it on Kobo. Kobo is a Japanese book site that's very popular in the U.S. now.
Murray adding that his goal is to publish at least 4 books a year and eventually become a New York Times best-selling author. He also wants to help create more opportunities for Bahamians.
I also want to bring more exposure to the Bahamas. I don't think we've ever had a book fair or festival in the Bahamas. And so I want to bring more awareness and workshops and sessions about writing, because a lot of Bahamians want to write but don't know how to start or where to get started. I write every day. I write every day and I read every day. But you have to love writing. You have to love reading. I know a lot of people don't like to write. A lot of people prefer to read rather than write. But for me, writing is therapeutic, and I'm an artisan. So writing is something I will always do. I'll never stop doing.
Great. Thanks so much, Akari. And the weather report is on the way just after this break. And they're calling it Barbenheimer. Find out the details from our Marlena Leonard. Stay close. All of that is coming up after this break. Welcome back to our news weekend. Always find joy in sunshine, rain, or a gentle breeze. No matter what the weather is like, to someone, it's always perfect. The pandemic hit many movie theaters hard, with many opting to revamp their business model after many got used to simply streaming movies at home. Fusion's co-founder and chief legal officer, Takoyo Bridgewater, says Fusion experienced a similar slump and tries to provide audiences with a different experience aside from just a movie viewing.
The pandemic really put us in a bad position. Nonetheless, we made some creative revenue decisions. We also realized our core business is to give experiences, okay? Now, people say, well, we can go and watch the movie at home. Yes, you can, but you won't have the experience of the 40X, the seat moving, the environment, the rain, the water. You won't have the experience of the largest screen on this side of the world in the IMAX theater.
Most recently, The Little Mermaid broke local records at the box office, and Fusion's marketing team took the experience to the maximum, even opting to have a live mermaid sit in and take photos with children. Bridgewater says he's noticed a trend with Fusion's most successful releases.
We do know that our movies are very successful when they either have, let's say, a sequel that came, an iteration that came before and it's a sequel now, or if it's a movie that is led by a black cast, okay? And I think that along with the fact that it is a big budget movie and a blockbuster brought everybody out, which allowed us to do some good numbers with The Little Mermaid.
And the wait is over. Both the Barbie movie and Oppenheimer are now showing at movie theaters in the Bahamas. Our Marlena Leonard spoke to an executive at Fusion Superplex to tell you everything you need to know this box office weekend.
After weeks of buildup on social media, Barbie is now showing, and people are certainly putting their money where their mouth is when it comes to this movie, as last night's premiere was sold out.
Fusion's co-owner and chief legal officer, Takoyo Bridgewater, says they're expecting that momentum to continue through the weekend.
I think that we're going to be booked out. When we look at the demand, we have a lot of the younger generation as well as the older generation who grew up on Barbie, just anticipating coming and watching the new iteration of it because it is actually a comedy. But I think it's a little risque, but I think that it's going to be both for the younger and the older generation.
And they're really leaning into the Barbie world theme at Fusion Superplex.
We have the decorations that are done by our internal marketing team. As you can see, the theme is pink right now, and I'm also wearing my shirt representing. And then we have other memorabilia that's going to be presented, I think, tomorrow, as well as we have a nice life-size Barbie surprise that the younger generation as well as the older generation come and take photos with. So it'll be an event.
Of course, Barbie isn't the only movie that dropped on the 21st. The dramatic period piece Oppenheimer is also showing at Fusion Superplex. Across social media, it's becoming a trend to call the duo Barbenheimer, and people are even planning double feature outings around the pairing. Bridgewater tells us the Oppenheimer interest is also growing.
We have a great demand for the Barbie movie, but also I just spoke with an individual upstairs who brought his entire department to come down to watch the Oppenheimer movie. He is a movie fanatic. He's here almost every week, and he said, I just spoke with him. He said, we're here for the Oppenheimer movie. We hope it's a good movie, and he will tell me what his position is in regards to his rating or his review when he's done.
Reporting for Our News Weekend, I'm Marlena Leonard.
Thanks so much, Marlena, and thank you for joining us for Our News Weekend. On behalf of our producer and the entire technical team, I'm Megan Shepard. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.